Here we are, starting the West Ridge hike. It's about 5 kilometres to the summit of Mount Buller, and we've got some snow showers coming in a little bit, so we're hoping to make decent ground. Coming in just after a little bit of a dusting, but not much, so hoping for decent conditions still. Let's see how it goes. So we've just made the top of Rand Hill. It's always a bit of a slog. It's about 2 kilometres straight of uphill, just gaining onto the ridgeline. Now we're about to drop down from here into the saddle that picks up onto the West Ridge. So yeah, we're making good time, but no views today unfortunately, so we'll push on. We've made it onto what's the beginning of the ridge. So now it's time to get into the fun stuff, I suppose. So here we go. Once you break out above the tree line and enter the resort boundary, the ridgeline becomes decently craggy, making for some fun scrambling with massive exposure as the ridgeline disappears steeply down to the Hauka Valley and Marimba. While the exposure is high, the scrambling isn't very difficult. But seeing as you're above the tree line on a narrow ridgeline, it's quite exhilarating. When the mountain isn't under cloud, you have views towards the steep and imposing western face of Mount Buller, with many vertical bands of cliff faces stretching up to meet the 1800 metre summit ridgeline. If conditions are right during the winter, ice climbing on these cliffs are a possibility. You'll also spy various ropes hanging off from the cliffs to let you know that you're passing some serious terrain. Unfortunately, this video doesn't show off these views, so you'll just have to trust me on this one. Yeah, so this route's like, it looks like there's this little tiny ramp to go up, and then it moves onto the actual physical western ridge. It's not the actual walking track. The track follows the western ridgeline until it intersects with the south face of Mount Buller. From here, it heads up a shallow gully to a low point in the summit ridgeline. This requires a small traverse across the south face, which in dry conditions is not a problem. As this was a winter ascent, although after a considerable period of warming, it's best to avoid the unnecessary dangers associated with traversing this face. The gullies can avalanche under the right conditions. On this day, we expected there to be much more snow than there was, hence why we used crampons and an ice axe. It's hard to know the exact conditions without being there.
Just a month prior, there was a fair amount of snow on the south face, enough for a long and steep snow ramp to form within what is known as warm-up ramp gully. This section of front pointing went for over 50 vertical metres, and at a few pitches exceeding 45 degrees in steepness.
It's a good thing that crampons work well on the grass.
It's really good, isn't it?
Could have just gone up here in the micro spikes.
That's what I was thinking.
Who can know? It's better to be on the safe side, I reckon.
I think that's someone that's in a micro spike too.
Yeah.
The route we decided to take was the most direct path onto the summit ridgeline. It essentially follows the western ridgeline all the way to the main ridge. The beginning of the route has a short climb up a gully, and then it moves on to light scrambling over boulders and loose shrub. Under a better cover of snow, there are many more paths you can take. This would be one of the easiest ways. Some of the climbs of Mount Buller are very technical multi-pitch mixed climbs, and because conditions are so variable, they're only recommended for an experienced mountaineer with a keen eye and level head. The climbing is apparently very similar to Scottish winter climbing.
Oh, fun.
Sweet. We made it to the top. Unfortunately, the conditions are a lot less snowy than it was during our July ascent, but hey, still in the mountains, still fun, so yeah, good one. summit of Mount Buller.